Recording in progress.
Hello everyone, in this video we're going to be talking about matrix multiplication. So let's start out with the general form, and the general form is going to go like this. A times E plus B times G. So A plus E times B times G. Okay, so A, E, B, G. Then we're going to be moving across. We're going to do A times F. Okay, A times F plus B times H. Then we're going to be moving down, so C times E plus B times G. And the very last one is going to be C times F plus D times H. So that is where these things are coming from. A, E, B, G. All right. A, F, B, H. Then we had C, E, D, G, and then C, F, D, H. Okay, so this looks a little bit abstract talking about the letters. So let's move on to our very first example. All right, so whenever we're doing matrix multiplication, we're going to first start out with the first row. Okay, so 0, 1, or 0 times negative 1 plus 1 times 3. So we're going to do 0 times negative 1 plus 1 times 3. Okay, that's going to be our very first thing here. 0 times negative 1 plus 1 times 3. Then moving across, we're going to have 0 times 1. Okay, 0 times 1 plus 1 times 1. 0 times 1 plus 1 times 1. Okay, then we're going to be moving down. And I did not make this quite long enough. Okay, so let's move to the second one. We're going to be doing 4 times negative 1 plus 3 times 3. Okay, 4 times negative 1 plus 3 times 3. Okay, then moving on to the next one. 4 times 1 plus 3 times 1. Okay, and what you're going to notice is this pattern here. Okay, all of these things are going to be the same as you go down. And as you go down, all of these things are going to be the same going across. So we have 4, 3, 4, 3, and 0, 1, 0, 1. Okay, so using this pattern, we're going to fill out the rest of our table. So we had 4, 3, and 4, 3, 4, 3. So now we're going to have negative 4. All right, negative 4 times negative 1. Okay, plus 3 times 3. Plus negative 1. Sorry, I was using negative 1 right here. Plus negative 1 times 3. Okay, moving on to the next one, we're going to have negative 4 times 1 minus 1 times 1. Okay, so all of these things are staying the same. And these things here are coming from our other two numbers. That's a negative 1 right there. Sorry about that. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. We're going to have negative 1 times negative 1 plus 1 times 3. Okay, then we're going to have negative 1 times 1 plus 1 times 1. Okay, so you can see that all the way down, we had the same numbers inside of the parentheses. And all the way down, we had the same two numbers repeating themselves right here. Okay, so let's write out our resulting matrix. Okay, and we're just going to go to Desmos and start typing some stuff in. So we are going to type in 0 times negative 1 plus 1 times 3. And then we're also going to type in, or we'll just leave this up here first. But 0 times negative 1 plus 1 times 3 is 3. So I'm going to write that here. Then we're going to type in the second one, and notice all I need to do is change the numbers on the inside of the parentheses. So let's go back, and I'm going to change these to ones. We're going to get 1, so let's get 1 over here. Okay, now as we go down, I see that we're using the same numbers on the inside of the parentheses, but just different numbers on the outside. So let's go back, and we're going to change this to 4 times -1, and then 3 times 3. Okay, so we're going to get 5. All right, and let's just go ahead and move down instead of moving across. So let's change those to -4 and -1. -4 and -1. So that's going to give us 1. And let's just move down now. So we're going to change that to -1 and 1. -1 and 1. So that's going to give us 4. Okay, and now I'm going to work with this side. So we're going to change that to 4 and 3, and then 1 and 1. 4 and 3, and then 1 and 1. Okay, so that's going to give us 7. All right, now I'm going to change that to -4 and -1. -4 and -1. So that's going to be -5. Okay, and then the very last one, we're going to change that to -1 and +1. Okay, so we're going to get 0 as our very last one here. Okay, so let's move on to our second example. All right, and this first one was a little bit lengthy, but that's often how a bunch of matrix multiplication problems go. Okay, so let's try out our very next one. All right, so this one is going to be resulting in quite the large matrix, but that's okay. So starting with the very first one, we're going to do 2 times 1 plus 2 times 2. 2 times 1 plus 2 times 2. And we know that we're going to have the exact same thing all the way down, so I can go ahead and do 1, and then 2. So let's go ahead and write 5 plus 3, and then we're going to do -5 times 1 minus 2 times 2. So taking these numbers right here and writing those. All right, now we're going to have the exact same numbers going across, so 2 times 0 plus 2 times 1. Okay, and then we're going to have the same thing going down, so it's going to be 5 times 0 plus 3 times 1. And then we're going to have -5 times 0 minus 2 times 1. Okay, now we're going to be going to the next one. So we're going to have the same numbers here, but now we're going to be working with 0 and -1. So 2 times 0 plus 2 times -1. Then we're going to do 5 times 0 plus 3 times -1. And then the last one, -5 times 0 minus 2 times -1. Okay, and you'll notice that as we go down, we have the same numbers here. All right, and going across that way. And then we also have all the same numbers going down here. Okay, and same numbers here. And there. Okay, so let's go ahead and start typing these things into Desmos. All right, and this is going to be a 3 by 3 matrix. So let's start with the first one, 2 times 1 plus 2 times 2. All right, 2 times 1 plus 2 times 2. That's going to give us 6. I'm going to write that in the first place. Then I'm going to move down, so I'm going to change this to 5 and 3. 5 and 3. Okay, that's going to give me 11. Then I'm going to change that to -5 and -2. Okay, so that's going to give me -9. And then we're going to move across. So now I'm going to change it to 2 times 0 plus 2 times 1. Okay, and that's going to give me 2. So now we're going to move down. 5 times 0 plus 3 times 1. So that's going to give me 3. And then moving down again, -5 and -2. That's going to give me -2. And then moving back up, 2 times 0 plus 2 times -1. All right, that's going to give me -2. And then moving down, changing this to 5 and 3. And then our very last one, changing this to -5 and -2. Okay, we are almost done. We do have one more example that we're going to go over, and then we'll be done from there. Okay, so in this example, we do have quite the lengthy problem that we're doing here. So let's do this last one, and we're going to start out with 0 times 1 plus -1 times 0 plus -4 times 1 plus 0 times 1. All right, so let's make this matrices. 0 times 1 minus 1 times 0 minus 4 times 1 plus 0 times 1. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing down, except I'm just going to change this to these numbers here. So -4 times 1 plus 1 times 0 minus 3 times 1 plus 2 times 1. And then we're going to move across. So I'm going to have the exact same numbers here, but I'm going to change the numbers that are on the inside of the parentheses. So 0 times -1 minus 1 times -1 minus 4 times 1, and then plus 0 times -1. All right, then we're going to move down, and we're just going to change the numbers on the outside. So I'm going to change this to -4 times -1 plus 1 times -1 minus 3 times 1 plus 2 times -1. Okay, and then we have our very last row here, and we're almost done with this problem. We're going to change the numbers in the parentheses to these right here. So 0 times 1 minus 1 times -1 minus 4 times 1, and then plus 0 times 0. Okay, and then moving to the very last row that we have here, -4 times 1 plus 1 times -1 minus 3 times 1, and then plus 2 times 0. Okay, and now we can go ahead and type this into Desmos. And this is going to be one of our easier ones to type into Desmos. And let's just make some dividers here. So we can tell exactly what is what. Okay, there we go. So the very first one, we're going to have 0 times 1 minus 1 times 0 minus 4 times 1 plus 0 times 1. Okay, and that's going to give us -4. All right, so then I'm going to move down, and let's just actually copy this right here. But we're going to move down, and we're going to change this these numbers in the front to -4, +1, -3, and then +2. Okay, that's going to give us -5. Now I want to change the numbers that are on the inside of the parentheses. So I'm going to change this to -1, -1, 1, and then -1. So that's going to give me -3, and then moving down to the one on the bottom. So I want to change this to -1, -1, 1, -1. Okay, so that's going to give me -2. All right, and then we're going to change the numbers in the front. So I want this to be, or so we're going to change the number that's in parentheses. I want this to be 1, -1, 1, 0. Okay, 1, -1, 1, 0. Okay, so we're going to get -3 and -8 as our last one there. Okay, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Matrix multiplication is a little bit tough. There's one more thing that I want to say about matrix multiplication, and that's that the number of columns needs to equal the number of rows in the second matrix in order for it to happen. So the product should be the number of rows in the first matrix by the number of columns. So the number of rows, 1, 2, by 3. Okay, so this was a 2 by 3 matrix. And you can see that the resultant was 2 by 3 there. Same thing with these up top. This would be a 3 by 3. So this was 3 by 3. And then this one would be a 4 by 2. So 4 by 2 is my resultant matrix. Okay, and you can only multiply matrices with the number of columns in the first matrix equal to the number of rows in the second. Okay, so these are just things to keep in mind as you work with matrices, but we're going to be going over those rules a little bit more in depth the next time. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please let me know if you have any questions. I'd be happy to help you out. Goodbye.